Hey everybody, welcome to the garden. I hope you're having a great day. Shout out to the lemon and lime lovers and everybody in between. It's time for a crypto highlight video. So this time around we're going to be looking at algo as this was suggested in the Discord. Guys, remember, if you're not in the Discord, be in the Discord, especially during this month. It's the free trial for the swing trade service all through November. And you also have the ability to pretty much recommend coins or stocks or commodities for me to look at. I'll do a dedicated video on it for you. So make sure to be in there during this time period. All right, so algo was suggested, and pretty much they wanted a macro and micro kind of look. So I'll start from the monthly to the weekly, then to the daily, and I might take a pop in at the 4 hour. I don't want to get too micro because, well, the video's coming out, 2 days later than when they suggested, so it's not really that relevant. But I'll give you what I see on the day, and then what I see in the coming week, and then potentially what's coming in weeks, and then months going forward. So starting with the big picture on the monthly, we don't have a huge amount of information, So look on algo from the Coinbase chart. As we can see, this monthly candle here is showing signs of continuation to the downside, right? We do have 16 more days, or just about, before this candle, closes and confirms. But as you can see, it's already starting, like it's already trading under the consolidation these last couple months. So it will have to do a lot of work to try and take this back. So pretty much get bought up back into these levels, and then we can look for potentially more consolidation going over a few more months. But right now, if the monthly candle were to close today, it would imply continuation down towards, all the way down towards 10 cents, right? So, and potentially even lower. So it's very bearish looking when you're looking at the macro right now, but so is most crypto. So this isn't that surprising. But again, there isn't that much information. And right now we are fighting at, this low monthly pivot right now. And we do have this lower one here that may potentially prove to be extreme support. So we have to give this time to mature, but let's go down to the weekly and see if there's any more information there. So looking at the weekly, so look at this weekly candle that closed out. Extremely bearish, right? Bearish engulfing on these last 2 weeks, and really even this week all the way over here during September. So very powerful down candle. But we are, the good news is we are above this major monthly pivot. So it's going to take quite a lot to lose that level. Now, we do have to have the bias that it eventually will, since the larger term trend on both the monthly, weekly, and daily is all to the downside. There really isn't, much strength to the upside, especially as the majority market cap in the crypto market, which is Bitcoin, is also trending down. So there's a lot of selling behind what's happening here for the entirety of the crypto market, and algo unfortunately is not immune to this. But right now, what can we see? Is there anything that's showing us, what can we keep our eye out for? So let's draw this trend line here on the weekly. So this is the trend line that you want to watch for on the weekly chart to eventually break, right? Let's change the color to red. That way it's clear when we go down to the daily. So this trend line here is major, right? So this is a major trend line that's connecting the highs and to the secondary high pivot here, and then going out into the future. Whenever this trend line is broken to the upside, watch for a major macro shift in character, right? You're looking for a massive change in character. All right. So again, this is far away right now, but we want to have this on the chart for the future. So if you're following this chart, make sure to pop this on there. It's good to have this general moving zone there. That way you can keep in mind, like, okay, once we cross this level and it's a decisive break to the upside, we're looking at potentially the beginning of a macro change of character that's bullish. Right, so let's go to the daily and get a better look at what's happening now. So, daily is very, very interesting, but similar to a lot of other coins in the market, most coins really. So we were in this major consolidation, this major range since really June until now, with, we had the FTX debacle, unfortunately. And what's interesting about this, that's actually quite disheartening, is I do think if the FTX debacle didn't happen, a lot of these cryptos, really all of them, would be trading much higher because many of them had a bullish break from this consolidation that they had, right? So it's really unfortunate that it's happened this way, but it is what it is. So let's take a look at the levels that were lost and see if we can find any future levels or any cheeky trend lines that may be in front of us right now. So Looking at this level right here, so currently this level was the low of the range that got taken out. We'll change this color to blue here. So this was taken out, and clearly so far we have lost that level now. We did have a bit of a fight here on the pullback up after we took out these lows, because you have to remember what happened when we took out these lows. We also took out all the liquidity that was residing under these levels. So that alone caused a lot of liquidations. That caused a lot of liquidity that gave fuel to that little pop, that little bearish pop that then led to the continuation down, right? So keep that in mind. You always want to look out for liquidity. That's why this incoming level at about 22.25, so about 22 cents, is very interesting because it is a monthly pivot, and it should have quite a bit of price interaction, and it's very unlikely if we continue to come into it like we are right now. So you see how we came in strong at first, and now we're kind of showing signs of slowing down on the daily candles. If we start coming into a grind kind of like this over a period of time, you want to watch for this level to actually hold. Now, this doesn't mean it's going to hold forever. This can mean one of two things. And I do want to make this very clear. I won't go into too much detail because this is part of my tutoring service. I do reveal, how to actually read these candles and what they mean at certain levels at certain times. I'm not going to get into that. That's a huge deal. Timing with trend lines is massive. That's how you can determine what trend line is actually relevant and how relevant it will be. I teach that in tutorings. I won't go into that too heavily here. But essentially, if we have a grind into these levels, what tends to happen is you don't really have a strong pullback up like a V or anything like that. You'll either have one of two things, right? So you'll have a consolidation that can last a significant amount of time, and then with a minor pull up that can lead to a change of character, but it's a much longer structure. So you'll have something like this, a pull back, and then the higher low will be made, and then it potentially takes out this high that it makes. Okay, so that usually turns into bottoming structures, like much larger bottoming structures. So similar to like a cup and handle, inverse head and shoulders, sometimes descending wedges. So those tend to have much larger time frames on how they get built. But if it were to come into this level hard, so let's say today or the next daily candle, right? It just comes straight down into it like that. What tends to happen, you'll have a nice little V bounce, okay? And what these V bounces turn into can be either obviously a real reversal candle. So a real reversal candle will be sort of like a bottoming candle, or a morning star candle. So essentially you'll have a long bottom wick, and then you'll have a top kind of like that. These tend to be at key levels, in the correct context, bottoming candles. Again, I teach that more in context in the tutoring sessions. So if that were to happen here, then we can be looking for, okay, we might be looking at a relative short-term bottom. But also what tends to happen is, and you do have to kind of respect this when you're in a macro downtrend, is you'll have a V bounce and then a continuation to the downside, okay? And usually what that means is you're going into from, let's say, like a wave 1 to wave 2 and then going into wave 3. So if you're an Elliott wave guy, that's kind of what happens. That also happens with from wave 3 to wave 4 going to wave 5, right? Because wave 4 and wave 2 will happen much faster, and then wave 3 will be much more prolonged, and wave 5 tends to be very prolonged because what happens with wave 5, if you're into Elliott wave, it's going into the end of the trending move. And when you go into an end of a trending move, what happens is you're looking for a topping structure of some sort, a slowdown. And because you slow down and you're making, let's just say, like a rising wedge, price slows down. So that means it takes more time, and then you eventually enter the ABC corrective wave, right? So that's what we're looking at. Again, right now, if this were, let's say, wave 1, and this were to V bottom here, this is probably going to be wave 2, because we are coming out of this consolidation. So we're looking at a short-term wave 2. Now, if we're going to the macro, I mean, we are far away from wave 2. This was probably wave 3, and this could be the beginning of a wave 4 if we go down a couple, far lower, and then we start, coming back up. But, again, I'm not a big Elliott wave guy. I'm just giving you kind of an example in case, you watching kind of use Elliott wave. That's my thinking on how it kind of works when you look at the candles. But other than that, the point is we want to watch for the 22 22.25 level generally to hold. Okay, if that level doesn't hold, obviously we're looking at this major level down here at 10 cents. This will be a major level, and it's extremely probable that this level holds, and we will have a significant bounce from there. Again, it could also lead to a consolidation, a bearish consolidation. That will potentially lead to continuation, but that will probably be on the back of Bitcoin, breaking under the 14K, 12K levels and trying to pierce under the 5 digits, going back towards the 4 digits. So you got to keep that in mind. A lot of this is going to obviously be dependent on Bitcoin. Now, taking a look at where I can see Algorand rebound, if it should go higher. So we could always go back towards the bottom of the range, so this blue line here, to test it. But another level you want to keep your eye on is actually the beginning of where it potentially was showing a change of character to the upside. So these levels, pretty much right here, you go from this low right here to this low right here, right there. There we go. Okay. So I'll mention this very quickly. When it comes to wicks and bodies, you want to, in my opinion, when it comes to trend lines, touching the wicks and bodies, I look for the most price interaction possible, right? So it doesn't always have to be the very bottom of a wick. Now you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. You'll find that price does, respect this stuff. But for me, trend lines are zones. So I'm just looking for where price has mostly touched a level going into the future. It just tends to it tends to be more validated. It tends to be more respected. And depending on how price comes into that level, you can expect certain characteristics that will happen when price gets to those zones. But this is the general trend line I would watch out for on a reversal to the upside, okay? Because this was the beginning potentially of a change of character going to the upside, okay? So what you're seeing here is you're potentially seeing a massive change from this consolidation that was happening since June, right? Because we were going sideways, then we finally took out this high right here, then we came back and made a higher low from these lows, and then we again did another higher high from this high. So there was potentially a massive change of character happening, and Bitcoin was doing the same structure. So I do think if FTX didn't happen, we would actually be going up towards the 50-cent mark in Algorand. But because of what happened with FTX and the liquidations and such, we lost it. So it's more likely that we do come up as we come down towards 22.5 cents, 22.25, and then we come back to test this level, pretty much to test the rising trend line from the failure of the breakout, right? So that tends to happen quite often. Again, I trade probabilities. I try to trade what tends to happen. Of course, things don't always happen, but in my experience, trading what tends to happen works better for me. So we want to see some sort of consolidation, like a descending wedge structure, and then a break to then create a short-term change in character to come back towards this level. And once we get back towards this ascending trend line, I would watch out for a failure there. Now, this doesn't mean it'll stay a failure. This can mean that you start a potential change of character down here where you make another higher low either here or you make one right here, and then you try and get enough fuel to challenge this descending trend line. Now, we do have to be patient if this sort of structure plays out. This will take probably a lot of next year. But overall, Algorand on the macro, you have to be bearish. But I would be looking for bounce plays. I would be looking for places, especially like these monthly pivot levels where it's trading at, to buy and then try and sell at very smart areas. And one of those smart areas would be a liquidity zone. So you're going to be looking for short like swing highs, like something over here. You're also going to be looking for fair value gap. So there's actually like a small one right here. So let me just pop that there, which happens to coincide with the bottom of the range, right? So this is where I would actually look to target to close a position out. You would want to look to short this ascending trend line, because if you do short this ascending trend line, what you're potentially getting, and what's most probable that you're getting, is the high pivot of a new low that's beginning, and that low can be a higher low or a lower low. So I would definitely be looking to do something like that. And again, let's also let's play a game. So let's say this is the high, right? And let's actually say this candle down here goes all the way to 22.25, right? So let's pull a fib from this top here and come down to that level at 22.25. Look where the 50 ends up being. Okay, look where the 50 ends up being from this swing high to this potential swing low down here at the monthly pivot. You're looking at about 33.87, so we'll round it up to like 34 cents, which is right around the zone of this ascending trend line. And depending on how long price takes to get to this level, you're in the gold pocket of 61.8 in the 50, right? So a lot of this stuff really just has a lot of confluence, and you want to make sure you start playing with the trend lines, start playing with the pivots, and just remind yourself over and over and over. Charts can only do three things, guys. Three things. You're either going up, you're either going sideways, or you're going down, right? And you just have to be able to see it. And once you get that, in your mind, once you see that, okay, we're making higher highs and higher lows, or we're making lower highs and lower lows, or we're going sideways, we're in a rectangle, all the questions that you have get minimized to what this structure means for you. And I tell beginners all the time, if you're in a trend, whether it's up or down, look for the continuation trades. Trade the trend. And if you're in a range and you're a beginner and you don't really know how to range trade, those are easy. You just draw a box, the high and the low, wait for one of those levels to get lost, broken through, and then you buy or sell depending if it went up or down. That easy. Now, the hard part is the emotions involved and the patience. So, make sure you have that in order. If you have trouble with that, I'm going to plug myself. I do tutorings. I'm very good. I think I have students that will vouch for me, and I can definitely get you on the right path. If you are okay with what you do, make sure to stay focused on that, and don't forget to mess with the trend lines. The trend lines are fun. Okay, the trend lines are fun. All right, that's it. That's all I gotta say. Again, make sure if you're interested in any of my services, check out the link in the description below for the Patreon, and also check out the Discord, which it's free. I do have a free trial going for the swing trade service right now for both stocks and crypto that ends at the end of this month. And I also have a crypto payment option if you're interested for the services rather than just a Patreon. You'll find that on the Discord in the service link room. Okay? All right, everyone. Take care. And remember, be patient, be vigilant, and be nimble. I love you guys. Take care. Bye.